Welcome back, everybody. I'm Rob Bartenstein, CEO of Kestra Private Wealth Services, with another episode of Kestra on the Fly. We are here today in Austin, Texas. I'm joined by my partner, Scott Wilson, COO of Kestra Private Wealth Services. As always, welcome, Scott.
Thanks.
And also, we are here at the offices of Summiteer. Mike, beautiful location.
Thank you.
You want to tell us a little bit about how you came to be here in Austin and to be with us and
Absolutely.
your firm?
Absolutely. Summiteer has been in existence for about 15 months. I was previously with another large firm for 22 years, and we started Summiteer 15 months ago, joined by Bridget, my assistant, and Matt Raves. I previously worked with both of them. Been in the Austin area for, in total, probably about 40 years. And just really looking forward to growing this business and see what it's going to look like in the future.
Yeah. One of the things that I think everyone would be interested to know about you is how much you enjoy the podcast experience itself.
Oh,
and being on film and all that.
Yeah, I love it. I do very active in social media. I have 0 accounts. I think I have a broken LinkedIn account.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited to be here today.
Well,
Lots of upsides.
Yeah, we appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And I think your story is super special and unique, and I think it will definitely be interesting to people that are watching. So thanks for taking the time to share it with us.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about the due diligence process. I mean, I'm kind of taking you back to your old firm, and as you said, you'd been there for quite a while. At some point, I guess things began to change for you and sort of how you felt about being there and maybe what you wanted to accomplish. If you don't mind, share with us a little bit about what that was like and then how you kind of began the due diligence process.
I think I had the thought probably for about the past 5 years, whether or not my previous firm was the right firm for me. And then as I started to see other very experienced, successful advisors leave, that opened my eyes a little bit more as to there are other opportunities out there. So on my own, that's when I started really looking into what the other opportunities were. I read, I think, every single article of investment news. And I would see, I was looking at where advisors were going from my firm, but where advisors were going from other firms. And I listened to about every podcast that I could get my hands on, as far as what are the changes in the industry? What are the options that are out there? What's the difference between an RIA, a W-2, an independent, a supported independent, just trying to figure out what those different options were.
Yeah.
And then started digging into, once I narrowed it down to about 6 firms. And then started digging into each of those individual firms, trying to determine what would be the best fit for myself. But it was, in my opinion, it was a lot of objective research on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And narrowing it down to about 6 firms, as opposed to listening to somebody's opinion on what they felt the top firms were.
It's interesting when we first met. I remember the confidence that you had. You've done your due diligence, but the confidence you had in your ability to move your book, I sensed. And you built the book. You opened almost every new account on your own, and you had great relationships with those people. And really didn't feel like it was the old firm that the clients were doing business with. Share a little bit about, as you were thinking about leaving, a lot of people are scared to leave that comfort. And what gave you the confidence to finally make that change? And obviously it's been extremely successful transition. What was your thought process there?
I genuinely believe that when we come into the office, that we do the best that we can every single day, and that we are constantly striving to increase our level of service. We're never going to be content with, okay, this is our level of service.
Right.
It's going to be, how can we get better? 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 One of the biggest complaints we get in our industry, I believe it is the biggest complaint we get in our industry, is that clients feel that they're not contacted enough. Clients don't typically, I'm speaking in general terms, most of the research has shown that it's not fees, it's not performance, it's just clients are not contacted enough and don't feel that connection with their advisor. So we made it a point in our office to do our best to consistently contact people and get to know them better, get to know what's important to them, and have real conversations as opposed to superficial stuff about the weather or the level of Lake Travis or whatever kind of stuff is out there. So I felt like because we did the best that we could on a daily basis, that I felt that like a lot of clients would come with us. And then also had the opinion that, hey, for those individuals that decide not to come with us, that's okay.
Mhm.
Because for whatever reason, we did not meet their expectations. And if we did not meet their expectations, that's okay. Because it's important for the advisor and the staff to be happy. And it's important for the client to be happy. And if we move and somebody says, it's just not the right fit for us, that's okay.
Mhm.
Parting on good terms, and we take what we have and build it better and continue to increase
Well,
it.
you had it sized up correctly.
Yeah, and that your entire philosophy there is not dissimilar to our philosophy either, which is we would like advisors who want to join, right? There are a lot of options out there. So you mentioned you had 6 firms that you sort of narrowed things down to.
Correct.
That's probably more than most on average. But it's a reminder that there are a lot of choices in the space, and there's a sort of a wide variety of choices. But when Scott and I are talking to people, one of the things that we're constantly testing for is, do they really want to be here, or is it just a deal?
Right.
And we're looking for the people that really want to be here, because for all the right reasons, right? Just like with you, with your clients, and your clients with your staff, and with you want people that want to be a part of the way you're doing things. And that doesn't mean that the way you're doing things is the way everybody wants it done, right? And so once you sort of accept that and say, look, this is what we do, and this is how we do it, and this is what we're super proud of, how we do it. And if that's a fit for you, great. And if it's not a fit for you, that's okay too.
Right.
It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make us right. It's just how it is. Then everybody ends up where they ought to at the end of the day.
Yep.
For the people that might be watching this, can you go back for a quick second to that field of candidates that you were looking at? What are there some observations that stood out that you think might be helpful to people that are going through that due diligence process themselves?
I think it's important to get a really good understanding of what is important to yourself as the advisor and or your team. And I do not believe that independent is right for everybody.
Right.
I do not believe that RIA is right for everybody. It just depends on what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. And I think it's way too easy to say independence is the way to go. I don't think that's the case. I think that there's a lot of value for a lot of people on the W2 channel. It just depends on what's important to them. So I think really figuring out what is important to you, and why it's important to you. For us, I talked about service. I think we're just in the service business.
Yeah.
And what's important to us is, can we continue to, as technology changes, as our industry changes, can we continue to change our business to make sure that we're consistently increasing our level of service? So long answer to your question, I think the most important thing is figure out like what is really important to you, and then what with those different structures out there,
Yeah.
where do you slot best into those different RIA, independence, supported independence, W2, whatever the case may be. And then I also think that make sure you're watching closely your interactions with some of these companies.
Yeah.
I had a situation where somebody didn't contact me. I contacted them twice and I didn't hear back from them. And so when you're trying to, like in my mind, I'm thinking, look,
This might be as good as the relationship ever
Yeah,
gets,
if
and I
we're-
can't get a phone call. Like,
yeah, if we're courting, we're going through the dating process.
Yeah.
Everybody's on their best behavior.
Right.
And if I need information and I'm not getting it back, then I can only imagine what it might look like whenever you go through some of the more difficult parts.
That's a super helpful observation. And I think that when I asked the question, I think it's stuff like that I was really kind of going for is we hear a lot of that as we talk to a lot of people. But one of the things that Scott and I always tell people when you're coming out of we call it the W-2 or the wirehouse space, into the independent arena, the thing you got to watch out for is the half answer.
Yeah,
You know? Like
absolutely.
you're going to get a lot of half answers. Can I do that? Yeah, you can do that. Meanwhile, it's completely uneconomic and unfeasible or infeasible. You got to follow up, and you got to. And one of the things I was already thinking about this, but one of the words that always comes to mind when I think about you is thorough. You're incredibly thorough. You have a lot of great characteristics, but that's one that really stands out. And I think that for sure helped you in your due diligence process, because a lot of people that we work with are not quite as thorough. It doesn't make them bad people.
Right, yeah.
People are just all wired differently and they look for different things. But we're usually the ones exhorting people to say, look, man, follow up, ask the deeper question, ask the next question, because you really got to get to the answer.
Well, we're ex-advisors.
That.
You know,
Yeah.
we both are like you.
Yeah.
That's always been important to us, a relationship, and building a relationship with our advisors, just like you do with your clients, is really, to us, the most important thing. If there's a good fit, we can always take care of the X and O's. I mean, you know, we're basically all doing the same thing. Like you said, we're in the service business. And if we don't call you back quickly and resolve issues, then really our value proposition doesn't really pay off at all.
That's 100%.
How about the technology and some of the services? I mean, was that a determining factor, your ability to change a bit the way you do business and expand maybe the offering that you were a bit limited prior? Is that something that weighed on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what you don't know. And so, believe it or not, that statement resonated with me from Fred Sanford on Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
Like he said it, and I thought about that. I'm like, wow, that's right.
You're aging yourself.
That's such a great show.
It is. So what I was excited about was knowing that we are responsible in this office for making decisions on what technology we want to use, what software we want to use that will best serve the client.
Yeah.
And what can get frustrating is if there is better technology out there that gives the client a better experience and you don't evolve and you don't use that technology. And now we look at it as it's our responsibility to know what is out there. And if there's a better experience that the client can have, it's our responsibility to go get that technology and use the technology. So what was exciting to us is knowing technology continues to evolve and we can use whatever's out there, and it's up to us to make that decision. If we have multiple clients saying, hey, we don't like this or that, then we can fix it. And that's one of the nice parts about this setup, and get the support in the process, because I'm not a technology person,
Right.
but having the support to lean on a firm to say, will this work together?
Yeah, you want to make sure from a cyber perspective, one of the biggest mistakes we see is everybody's excited about all that technology, but they really don't think about the consequences if those services aren't fully vetted and really integrate and protect your
That's
client.
correct,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yep.
you know, that's an important piece of the value prop, to make sure we take care of you and protect you so you can go out and not have to worry about those types of risks to your clients.
Yeah, I feel like if some kind of software comes out, and I'm going to be one of the it's going to be well vetted before we decide that we want to use it. But I feel like I could say, hey, we want to use XYZ software, put it in your lap, and you guys figure it out.
Sure.
Are there any problems with it? Will it integrate well? Is the security well?
That's a sort of a quiet feature of supported independence. And we know this because we had to learn it the hard way when we started the RIA from scratch. We went through several IT people, and we went through a lot of pain and suffering on software and various other elements of the technology platform. And we weren't experts, so we were sort of feeling our way forward. And I feel sometimes I look back and go, we were really lucky that we didn't screw ourselves up because we didn't know what we didn't know. And I think in the context of the private wealth services platform, what you're getting is people who actually do know what you don't know. And the 120 people or so in the tech group, when you say, hey, I want to use this, is it safe to use? Are there some trap doors or whatever that I don't know about? They're going to vet it and give you the real scoop. I want to congratulate you. You've survived 50% of our allotted time. So far, so good. But at the same time, I want to keep us moving in the, because we got a few more things we want to cover. So let's talk about the firm name, Summiteer. Cool name. Kind of reminds me of Rocketeer, which was a great movie. Tell us about that. Like, where does it come from? What does it mean to you? And that sort of thing.
I'm a big outdoors person, and my son and I have been, I'm going to call hiking to the top of mountains. They're 14. There's mountains at 14,000 feet. We took him to the top of his first one when he was 2. He did Pikes Peak when he was 5. And since then, like we just, and we don't do any of the crazy stuff. We're not using ice picks, and ropes. I mean, you just walk to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And so it's something we did a couple this summer. So there's a personal attachment to me. So that's something we do together.
How old does he know?
13, 14 in January.
Yeah.
Next month. He helped me pick the logo. So he was tied into this because he knew it was a big change.
Yeah.
And then I also think in terms of that's really where it comes from. But also if we think about this business, like most businesses, is primarily retirement planning. And if you think about retirement, it is like, for the client, it's like planning for retirement. It's like going to the top of that mountain. And then you hit the top of the mountain, you hit the summit. That's a summiteer. Somebody's hit the summit. You hit the summit, you think, hey, I'm ready to retire. All good. But a lot of people die coming down from Mount Everest. A lot of people have the potential to outlive their retirement money when they're in retirement. So it's the journey of retirement, preparing for retirement. You hit the summit. Hey, great, I'm there. Well, you're 65. We still got to plan on you to live another 25 years. We got to make sure you don't outlive that money. We got to make sure you don't die coming down the mountains.
Right. No, that's really cool. And by the way, for those that don't know, going down is very often more dangerous than going up.
Yeah, more people, I think, died coming down. They're exhausted.
And for sure.
Yep.
Well, this office looks beautiful. What was it like the first time you walked through the door and saw the name on the door? I mean, that's a special,
no doubt,
important part of this whole journey is, building something that you own.
Yeah, I'm very, very proud of the office. And thanks to you, because I didn't, I gave a little bit of input, but I didn't design it. I didn't put the TV on the wall. I didn't come up with this etching stuff. So coming in and knowing that it's yours is, and it's hard to digest that. It's hard to accept that. When you've walked into an office for 22 years and it's somebody else's, it kind of feels like yours, but not really. And then you walk in here, and knowing that it is truly our business, it's an incredible feeling.
That's rewarding.
No doubt.
For us, anyway.
Yeah. I think for everybody.
Yeah, feels good to hear that.
So in that vein then, over the last year, because we were just talking before, and you're wrapping up your first full year. What's changed personally, professionally for you in that intervening time?
professionally, I feel like we almost have that the infrastructure is built the way we want it. With Matt and Bridget's help, I feel like we almost have every I dotted and T crossed. And that we are at a place where we can really start getting back to excelling at service and growth of the business. It's taken us about a year, but 15 months, I think we're there. Personally, not a lot has changed, but I feel like I can breathe a little more.
Yeah.
For the first 6 months, there was a lot going on. Hit 12 months and I'm getting back into my swing of things. And now I am back to living a more of a profession. I have my professional life and I have my personal life, and my personal life is important to me.
And we sort of map it out. We assume you're going to get back to sort of 100% of what you were doing by the end of the second year. And we were talking earlier, it looks like you're well on your way to exceed that. And that is awesome. I mean, that is a great performance, and it's a testament to the relationships you have. But that's a track. Do you feel like you're on track to, be there as we kind of mapped out in our model?
Yep.
That's great. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So in the last few minutes here, just kind of do a little bit of a lightning round. Any words of wisdom or advice for people thinking about independence?
Really know yourself and why you want to leave and do the change.
Yeah.
Figure out what really drives you. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice. How about what's over the horizon for Mike Davis and Summiteer?
We will absolutely continue to grow the business. We want to do, we want to be very careful with our growth, because we have a commitment to our existing clients, and we could grow this very quickly. We're selective on who comes on as a client, but the key is that we want to grow, but it needs to be controlled growth. So we're not the service to our existing client. It's not acceptable for it to suffer, but it actually needs to get better. So we're going to grow the business, and it's going to be controlled growth. So the service to the existing client that helped us get to where we are actually gets better.
You think you'll bring your son in the business? I'm putting a plug in for him right now. He can look at this 10 years from now.
Yeah.
What's your best guess?
My best guess is probably not.
Okay.
He's full of personality, but he thinks Dad has a very boring job.
Well, I have a feeling that might change over time. I hope that he's maybe able to consider. Both of us would have wanted our sons or daughters to be in the business, and we're jealous because it's exciting that you have the option to do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Having a book is it's the freedom to bring those folks in if you want to.
Yeah, if it makes sense and he wants to, I would love that.
That's exciting.
Okay, we talked about Red Fox, Fred Sanford. Any lessons or teachings that you find are at kind of the center of what you do that you think of?
When I think about the business itself, and what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve, there's something that's always stood out to me, and it was a reason why I knew that I needed to make a change. Andy Grove, with Intel, wrote a book called Only the Paranoid Survive. And I'm going to butcher this, but his concept is success breeds complacency. And because of that, only the paranoid are going to survive.
Right.
And I believe that. I believe that as we are successful, we need to also always be looking over our shoulder. If we want to get better, if we want to grow, if we don't want to become a dinosaur and become extinct. So that's very important to me. That was a big reason why I left my previous firm. I felt like we got a little
The
complacent.
whole
way
thing
that-
was just felt complacent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the other one I'd say that was really good advice. A Morgan Stanley branch manager gave it to me 20 years ago, was, in this business, you are swimming with sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And his point was, you need to be growing. You need to be evolving, because you're swimming with sharks. If you're not swimming, you are going to be eaten,
Yeah.
or at least maimed. And
Yeah.
you need to be growing that business.
That's-
And that people
totally
pass
right.
away. Yeah.
That's totally right.
So that has always stuck with me as well.
Andy Grove's book was, you got that I remember that title. Was it Steve Jobs that said, "It's not paranoia if they really are out to get you"?
Yeah.
I think that's what he said. How about a quote or a bit of wisdom that you keep coming back to that speaks to you?
A quote or I really don't. I apologize. I mean,
No worries.
I don't have one that I.
Sometimes
It's just-
you'd be surprised. I've asked that question a few different times, and some of the answers are unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's to each their own. We've kind of covered a lot already. Fred Sanford being the sage,
Yeah, I mean,
the
but
oracle that he is.
that actually, I was watching that and it hit me like he said that. I'd heard it before, and he said that, and I'm like, that really is true. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
We assume that we do, but you don't.
I think that's in a sort of self-serving way. I would say that's part of the reason that we exist, is that people don't know what they don't know. And we're here to be the people that kind of do know. It's not that we know everything, but we've been banging our head against the rocks for 12 years doing this. And we've made a lot of mistakes along the way. Fortunately, not many twice. But people that come into this business and partner with us, I think, are getting the benefit of that accrued experience, if you will. So,
We're lucky to have people like you. I mean, solid
really
businesses. Your team is incredible, and it really feels like you've got things moving in the right direction. And
for sure.
Thank you.
And our philosophy is very much like yours. We want that intentional growth. We don't want to grow at all costs, and we don't want to just grow for the sake of growing. We want to grow the right way.
Yep.
And continue to do what you said, which is the most important thing, is continue to get better.
Yeah.
And I think this morning, one of the first things I said to you was, you're helping us get better. And that's great. That's what we want. And we love to partner with people like that. So just know that that's appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, I do feel Rob's referring to, if I think something's broken, and you know this, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But to me, what's important is, if I think something's broken and it is broken, I know I can call you and it's going to get fixed.
So we pick up the phone too. We don't.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to talk about it. It's just like, hey, this is broken. Can we get it fixed? Yeah, it gets
It's the
fixed.
same
and
thing with
we
your
move
client.
on.
I mean, clients call periodically and we make mistakes. Right?
Absolutely.
It's not about that. We don't ever claim that we're not.
Right.
No, we're not
Right.
perfect, but we certainly hope you feel like we fix it when we need to. So
Absolutely.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks for the time today.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. You
Mike.
did a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Inaugural outing. I can't wait to come back and do this again.
Let's do it tomorrow.
All right.
All right, so that'll do it for another episode of Kester on the Fly. I'm Rob Bartenstein, my partner Scott Wilson, and Mike Davis, Summiteer Financial in Austin, Texas. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you again.